You have an incredible gift and skill to help people feel included, wanted, a part of. You need to find ways to deploy that out into the world in all different ways, like with your family, your friends, your band, people that you create music for. Like, you just create this place of inclusion, right? Togetherness. That's a primal gift that you have because of your primal question.
Good morning. Good morning. That feels like the Ch-Ch-Ch-Chia song. And it could be morning or day or night. You could be on a run. You could be doing something. But I'm happy that you woke up today. Me too. I wrote an X on my wrist today, and I got another day. So anyways, okay, guys, Tim Timmons here. Welcome to season 3 of the 10,000 Minute Podcast. This is our second episode with one of my good friends, Mike Foster. So season 3 is all about relationships, the way we navigate them, and how we can practice showing up better in them. And today we're doing the second installment of my conversation with Mike Foster. This is part 2 of our talk on Primal Questions. Mike is a best-selling author, executive coach, host of a podcast, Fun Therapy, and just a great human. So check out the previous podcast if you did not check that out already, because that will give some context to this. But you guys, it's really helpful. So today we're going to go through my issues and say, Tim, this is why you're jacked up. No, that's not entirely true. But it's just how I see the world. It was kind of surprising, actually. So I think you're going to love it. Thank you guys for supporting us. Those of you who are supporting 10,000 Minutes. We don't have a Patreon, but we do have a way to partner with us. And we have a newsletter that we send out just to people that are partnering financially with us. So if you want to do that, you can go to 10,000minutes.com, 1000minutes.com. And then we'd love to get you into that community and have more conversations. So we also have a Facebook group. If you guys want to have a free text message, you just text, get your phone out and text the number 59925. And in the subject line, you'll put 10K, 10K. Ooh, I totes forgot, you guys. So if you have not taken the assessment, would you go to primalquestion.com? Once again, that's primalquestion, singularquestion.com, primalquestion.com, and take the assessment there. And I think it'll make a lot more sense. These episodes will make a ton of sense. And you're going to be a better human for everybody else around you by doing this. Okay, do it. That's about it. You guys, you're going to love this. Would you share it with some friends? Maybe even like it. Smash that like button. I'm a little punchy. Am I punchy this morning? Okay. Well, guys, get ready. Here we go.
Let's talk about your question. Your primal question.
Yes, I'd love to. And really quick, everybody, I took a test. So on your website.
Yeah, primalquestion.com.
Primalquestion.com. I went on there and I took a free assessment.
Yes.
Que ganga. That means what a bargain in Spanish. And I took this assessment yesterday.
Yes.
And here's what it came up as.
Yes.
So go. Or do you want me to read what I got?
The results of the assessment or your primal question is, am I wanted?
Am I wanted? Number 4, Q4.
Yes.
Am I wanted? Core need. To feel accepted, pursued, and to belong.
Yes.
Core fear to be.
Well, first off, does that feel true to you? That
to feel accepted, pursued, and to belong. I think so. I've got to. I'm such a processor that I have to talk this out loud. So I might need some help.
Let's talk about your primary relationship.
Okay.
Hillary.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like the relational breakage that happens or ruptures that happen in your marriage?
That's so good.
Are when you don't feel pursued or want, right?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. Swish. I mean, that would be one of our main issues.
Yes.
And she'd be fine with me talking about that.
Yeah. But that, again, because what's happening, and this is why it's so important for you to understand that you have this emotional need, to not reject it or pretend it's not there, but say, no, Hillary, when you do this, you answer my primal question with a no or a maybe.
Yeah.
I would love for you to start doing more of this.
Yeah.
Because that answers my primal question with a yes.
Totally.
And then you avoid all of that conflict and relational wreckage.
Totally. So good. So yes, the answer is, do I feel that? Yes.
Good.
My core fear is to be excluded or left out.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me.
You said talk to me?
Talk to me about that.
To be excluded or left out. How does my core fear help me?
You hear about your best buds, okay? Everybody's going on a golf trip. 5 guys, we're going to Cabo, we're going to go in golfing, and we don't invite Tim. How does that feel for you?
Yeah, that would suck. I wonder who that wouldn't suck for.
It wouldn't suck for me.
Huh.
And this is what's really also another important thing to understand is that with every primal question, whatever your question is, you're going to be dealing with that and navigating that and relating to it for your entire life. But there's also the other highest emotional needs that are on the 7 questions that in some way you're immune to those types of things. Not that they're not as important, but like me being left out, it's not as big a deal to me.
Yeah.
Because safety is my issue. Okay. I think about love. I want to be loved. Okay.
Yeah.
That feels good. We think human beings need love.
Yeah.
But it's not my water. It's not my oxygen. I don't like, if I didn't have it, it's okay. And so the part of this is really recognizing the things that hit the hardest. And you're going to assume like, well, doesn't everybody feel bad when they're not invited to the Cabo trip?
Yeah.
Not everybody does because they don't have that highest emotional need to be included. Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't had many experiences like that.
Yeah. Because you are
wanted. Right. Yeah, I've either built that in or it's part of my gift or it's a little bit of both. It's part of my gift and it's something I've kind of built in.
You have a gift of not only making people feel wanted, but you have figured out how to get your primal question answered with a yes. Now, some of those things that we do are dysfunctional and unhealthy.
Right.
But a lot of the things that we do are actually really good and redeeming and an important part of who you are, Tim. So you're incredibly like thoughtful and kind and funny and entertaining and gifted. Why wouldn't I want to have you around me? Right. Yeah. I write about in the book the story about Robin Williams, one of the funniest guys ever to walk the planet there, right? Just unreal comic. The story about Robin Williams and his comedy really starts in his early childhood about a boy who wanted to be loved and get attention from his mother. So what Robin Williams figured out was that if I was funny and entertaining and a jokester, I could get mom's attention and love. Okay. Now that gift that he harnessed really in his pain, the pain or the desire to be wanted by his caretaker, we got the blessing of that. Okay. And he figured out that the more I double down on being the funny guy, the more people love me, want me. Again, I don't know exactly what his primal question is, but you can see how that giftedness is used for good and connection. And that's the thing. We got to be very aware of like, what are we doing that's working against us? And what are the things that we're doing that are actually working for us in terms of our choices around our primal question? And you can make the same decision for your life. You say, hey, I'm going to write this song and it's going to be about this topic and I'm going to do it. And you can write that song from the question, am I wanted? And that's going to produce a particular theme, lyrics, whatever. It's like, hey, I got to write this to make sure, it's 2 minutes and 30 minutes long because that's how it gets played on radio. And like, that's the whole mindset. Or you can write that song from I am wanted and you're no longer having that emotional need all sort of being put all over that song. You're sort of released just to write freely and creatively. If people love this song and want to invite me to perform this song at their church or at their event, that's okay. Yes, it could happen, but if it doesn't happen, that's okay because I wrote this song from a place of a primal truth. I know I'm wanted.
Yes.
I don't need people to want me.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of impact of how we look at the gift and the different expressions of it.
So the kryptonite for Q4, me, which is am I wanted, is rejection. I was trying to go back in my early memories of rejection.
Yes.
And yeah, I guess it's pretty true. I think when I was little, I was husky or husky pants.
Mm-hmm.
Carol bought me husky pants because I didn't fit in little boy pants.
So you're overweight?
A big boy. Yep.
Okay.
And it wasn't that big, but just big enough.
Yeah.
And my best friend, Joel Owen, who was really short, and I was big and just a little bit tall and just a husky kid. And so I wasn't the fastest kid, but I learned how to be the hardest working kid in any sport. So I basically made all of like the all-star teams and all that kind of thing, not because I was that great, but because I worked so hard
to fit in,
so that I could just get there because I felt
to be included.
Yeah. Or else I'd, because early on I was last, and they'd pick, the classic picking in sports, totally left out. Yeah. And I even think about that with school. School was just not my favorite as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to go out and play. Like that was way more fun. And so I was in low math, low reading, and that really hurt because all my best friends, which I have a podcast about on this season, but they're just geniuses. All of them are geniuses. And I felt like, gosh, that is not my gift at all, but I can be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it's just, I'm thinking through all the different, just like significant moments of rejection.
Yeah. And what I think is interesting, what you're saying is that you didn't run it through a filter of being successful. The driver need for you was about to be included, to fit in, to be a part. You had these 4 friends that were really super smart and you struggled.
Yeah.
And so your pathway in was through comedy and being funny. But that's what I'm saying is like, we will find a way to meet that emotional need. And it really gives us on the positive side, it refines that real gift that you have.
Yeah.
Because you figure out how to do it. I know how to get a yes to being included and being wanted.
Yeah.
But then we also have to identify that perhaps the unhealthy ways that you do that and some of those coping mechanisms that you feel like you have to do this in order to feel wanted when maybe you don't have to do that.
Yes. That's so good. So then the next it says, at your best, you're welcoming and inclusive, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
And at your scramble, I like how you put that, you lose yourself in the full-time project in avoiding the string of rejection.
The sting, yes.
That's what it's, or the string or the sting. It depends on how you read that. And then fitting in is important to you.
Yeah. Yeah. The humans work really, really hard to avoid pain. So what's painful for Tim or for a Q4 is rejection, being left out, not invited, feeling like the outsider. That has an emotional wound to it. It hurts when those things happen. Some of this is very conscious, but so much of this is just under the surface.
For sure.
Being driven unconsciously, okay, which is actually most of what we do in our days is an unconscious choice or an unconscious behavior. And so what happens is you just spend a lot of time and energy making sure nobody answers your primal question with a no.
So good. Okay. So good.
Instead of releasing that project of avoiding rejection and living in your primal truth, I am wanted. Okay. It's me living, I am safe. It's Q7 saying, I do have purpose. I don't need to wrestle and wonder whether my life is meaningful or impactful.
Yeah.
And so that's the goal of the book. The goal of understanding the question is, yes, understanding that you're swimming in that water, but now what do we do with it?
Right.
And how do we stop living in this triggered state?
Yeah.
And start living in this self-leadership state. I understand my emotional need. I know how to meet it myself. And I also know how to ask others to affirm it in me also.
I told you the story of this woman telling me that I didn't take people to the throne room of God when I had just led worship for the first night of this 3-day conference.
Mm-hmm.
And as I think about it, I mean, there was that is a form of rejection of a gift that I actually believe that I have.
Yes.
I'm pretty confident in this gift. Not that I'm super awesome, but just, man. And I have different thoughts than her about what the throne room looks like.
Yeah.
Which I think made me mad. But there is a form of rejection in there.
Yes.
So when these things get triggered, what is the practice?
Well, what I'd say is number one, recognizing when you get a no, the tendency is to go into your scramble. So there's a part of you that has a program, a set of steps that knows what to do when you feel rejected.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I'm just making this up, but maybe in that moment when you feel rejected by that woman, you start explaining yourself, or perhaps you go into attack mode, or perhaps you start trying to be funny guy and win her over.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's probably something that we do subconsciously when we get a no, we go to the program and just goes straight to it.
Oof. I can totally see the places in my 10,000 minutes where I feel wanted and where I don't. And man, do I scramble to get a yes to my primal questions sometimes. I think we all do. And in our last episode with Mike, we talked about how we don't want to erase the question, just get rid of the question, but find ways to answer it with a yes for ourselves, for our kids, and our relationships. Okay, so let's just take a second to assess or to rethink our thinking on this, or just to be curious about it. It's almost like, again, we're putting this idea, this question, our life in a glass box right in front of us, and we're just kind of looking at it. We're just observing and seeing what it's revealing about our hearts and saying, Jesus, would you help me in this? Because I don't know if I see this stuff correctly. That's really what we're doing. When we're curious about things, we're kind of looking in this glass box at this thing, just objectively if we can, and turning it around and spinning it and going, oh, underneath, this is what's happening. So where do you feel yourself scrambling? Or maybe a better way to say that is overperforming, overlooking your boundaries, or where your boundaries are being overlooked? Where do you find yourself settling, working hard for your emotional needs? Where do you find yourself striving, trying to win someone over when you feel rejected? So just take a second. Where do you feel like you scramble? When are you, as the kids say, are getting triggered? Where are you getting triggered? And next, where do you feel the pressure to re-ask the question, am I wanted? Am I safe? Do I have purpose? Am I loved? Where do you feel the pressure to re-ask that question? When is that question coming up? Can we ask God to remind us in these moments of scramble that the answer is always yes in Him? What a way to re-see and rethink grace by knowing it as a yes to the deepest soul questions our kids and loved ones are asking every day. And as I've said a million times, what if we lived like this was true? How would that change our relationships? Remember, these things are not for us. When I'm working on my stuff and I'm working through the stuff that's being revealed in my heart, it's not so at the end of the day I have peace, but it's really for everybody else around us. So if the point of God for us is that we would be here for the flourishing of the whole, this stuff actually changes us so that we become more beautiful for the flourishing of the world. So that's why I think this work is so important for us to do. And some people get really hung up on this is so selfish and self-centered, and it's all about us and nothing about God. I actually completely disagree and say that this is something that we need to be doing as individuals, but it's not for us. It's for the sake of the others. So Jesus, lead on.
So we got to be aware of that. We don't need to go into that scramble part.
So that takes a second or a conversation with a friend to say, okay, here's where I go. Here are a few places I go.
Yes.
Okay. Continue.
So being aware of those tendencies, those unhealthy tendencies. Mm-hmm. The second thing is the more Tim can live in the affirming of his wantedness, his connection to people, that he will be, it's almost like bubble wrap around him. The more you can live in your primal truth and affirm that, when the rejection comes by this one woman that says you really didn't do a good job tonight, okay, or you didn't lead me through the throne room,
Yep.
that rejection doesn't land very hard on you.
Yeah.
because you're so wrapped up in knowing that you have great friends, great connection.
Yeah.
You know how to create a space where people feel included. I mean, it's really interesting that you're a worship leader. Most worship leader, performer, whatever you want to call yourself, is about group work. Okay.
Yeah.
Certainly you have this incredible musical talent, but you also have this gift that comes with the question of creating atmospheres where people feel connected to God, connected to each other, connected to this moment and this experience. You have very unique gifts that way. Bob Goff has the primal question of Q4. It's this ability just to make everybody feel like his best friend in any room that he's in, whether it's a room of 10,000, a room of 5, or just one. So much of who you are is you're really good at this. And so if you don't take one person to the throne room, it doesn't really matter, because you know that, like, when you step back and have some perspective, man, we all went there, whether you wanted to go there or not, or whether you wanted to get on board with what we were doing tonight or not. It's okay that you didn't go there. That doesn't say anything about me or who I am.
Yeah, because I didn't take it as you're not successful.
No.
I didn't take it as you're not loved.
And probably not like all of a sudden your life no longer has purpose, or that you're not safe.
Yeah.
It was a rejection of what you did that night.
Yeah. And of what my heart was aiming for.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what is your, let's say, your unhealthy coping mechanism when you get a no? What do you do in an unhealthy way to try to get back to a yes?
Ooh, to try to get back to a yes. Because I keep thinking about my wife.
Yeah.
And in that relationship, she's got a million gajillion things going. I mean, that woman homeschools all 20 of our kids. She holds so many things all the time. I mean, so many things. And yet there are times when I'm like, hey, you want to go on a walk? And she just has so many things going on that just, her saying no X amount of times just feels like rejection. And I'm experiencing that over and over and over. So at some point I get to a place of like, either screw it, cold, and then I just go to ice guy.
Yes.
I freeze.
Yeah. That's what I would call primal avoidance. Is basically where we take the question off the table.
Okay.
We stop asking it.
Yeah.
So with Hillary, when you get too many rejections for the walks, you just stop asking the question, am I wanted?
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, I'm not going to ask anymore. I'm just going to isolate. I'm going to go cold. And that is a protection mechanism for you, so you don't get any additional no's from Hillary.
Yeah. And then I go back in the next week and it just happens again. And it's like, yeah. So I just keep doing that. I mean, that's a pattern that we have, but part of that's on me. So I'm curious in this of what's my role in these places with this tendency that I have, because all I can do is what's on my side of the court. With this tendency, where should I be going?
Well, I would say first and foremost, your role is, does Hillary know how to answer your primal question with a yes? Have you been clear and prescriptive about, Hillary, when you do this, that gives me a yes. But also, Hillary, when you reject me for walks or don't want to go for a walk, which is a legitimate reason, like she has every right to say, I don't want to go for a walk. But do you know how that lands on my heart when you say that?
Yeah.
I feel rejected. I feel unwanted. I don't feel pursued. I feel like like I'm winning fourth place in terms of priorities. Kids are more important, or something else is more important. I feel disconnected from you. Does she understand that? And most couples go like, no, my spouse doesn't understand this.
Yeah.
We just keep fighting about it.
Right.
Or we talk about like kind of these generalities of these like love and respect, or like just we're on words that actually are not specific enough.
Right. To
or
that
a concept that's specific enough to where Hillary understands, like, when I reject Tim for a walk, that's a big deal to him.
Yeah.
And so I need to figure out ways that I can say yes to more walks with Tim, so he's affirmed in that. But that's your responsibility, Tim, to communicate that to her.
So let's just say that I have communicated that. So what is my, because what I'm trying to figure out, and this is, I think she'd be totally fine, and I'll ask her if she's okay to share this. But We've had this conversation so many times.
Yes.
And so I'm just excited to go home and see what hers is and then read through the book and figure out how do I be more aware of that. And we figure out how to do this well together.
Yes.
But so what's my practice
to do the assessment, and you guys will be off and running.
Yeah. We're going to be killing it.
Yeah.
What is my role on the other side of that?
Your role is saying my spouse isn't responsible for saying yes to my primal question 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I actually have to take responsibility for my own emotional need. So yeah, I'll use myself as an example. I can't say to my wife, Jennifer, I need you to always affirm safety in me.
Yep, make me safe.
Make me safe. That is not your job.
Uh-huh.
I'm bringing you into this conversation because I believe if you do more of yeses to my primal question, that's going to improve our connection, our relationship in general.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you do this specific thing, that's a yes. When you do that specific thing, that's a big hell no. But at the end of the day, this is my emotional need.
That's huge.
And I've got to be responsible for meeting that need too.
Yeah.
So I can't just like wait for some external yes to come for me to be okay.
Yep.
That's the self-leadership part where we don't operate like kids, where kids are very dependent.
Right.
Okay. And adults are interdependent. And interdependence is where we have dependence on others, but we're also independent. Okay. It's a both and. It's not independence where I'm completely on my own and I just will be responsible for my own need and I'll just take care of myself. I'm also not dependent where I just need my spouse to always be 100% responsible for my highest emotional need.
Yep.
It's this interdependence.
Yeah. It's so good, Mike.
I work on it, but also I invite close relationships into partnering with me in my emotional needs.
So good. So people go check out the 7 Primal Questions. What was that website?
Yeah, the best thing to do is go to primalquestion.com.
Okay.
You'll see it'll say take the assessment. It's right there in the header, right.
It'll be in the show notes.
It'll be in the show notes. But it's like takes 5 minutes. It's about 20 questions.
Yeah.
And it'll get you started on really understanding the core driver of who you are and start giving you a playbook on what to do next.
I love it. Giddy up. So Mike, before we go, we've got about 2 more hours left on this podcast. And what my hope is we've got 10,000 thoughts. So at the end of each segment with the guest, we do 10,000 thoughts. Thankfully, they're not 10,000 thoughts. They're only a few, but I just want your first initial go. Like,
great.
There's no processing in this. You just go. Current obsession. Okay.
Gosh, obsession's a very strong word.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So I don't want to just like throw something out. My current obsession is, well, what I think about a lot is how to sit behind home plate at a Padres game. So I have an obsessive nature around baseball.
Okay.
But baseball with really good seats.
Okay.
Which I'm not able to meet that obsession.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
sometimes I'm down third base line. Okay. Yeah. But that's okay. But
is baseball a sport? Is that like a?
Yes. It's a professional sport with about 9 players or so on the field, and the guy gets up and he hits a ball. So it's pretty amazing. And listen, by the way, I know there's a lot of people who are not obsessed with baseball.
Yeah. But that's yours.
That's one of mine for sure.
That. I love, because we're in San Diego and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Favorite movie growing up? A favorite movie growing up.
A movie that I remember a lot, and I think this is probably because it was so traumatic to me, was The Wizard of Oz.
Ooh.
I remember every time that witch came out, hiding behind the couch, which is, again, the safety issue for me.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the fun things about the Primal Question stuff is once you know your question,
you just see it everywhere.
You see it everywhere.
Yeah.
In small things, big things.
Yeah.
It's like there's a reason why I don't do extreme sports. There's a reason why I don't do anything where I might be physically hurt. There's a reason why I think I'm excellent at risk management. Okay?
Yeah.
Like big, small ways. I don't eat from buffets because I don't like the idea of possibly getting other people's germs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, this is like stuff that I got to manage and still keep in a healthy way, but it's like there's a reason.
Yes.
Okay. Behind it all. And it's safety, or it's that core need. So anyways, I don't even know how we got there, but Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
The Witch scared me.
Yes.
So it's a memorable movie.
Yes.
I'm not sure it's my favorite movie.
Right. But that's jumped at you. Okay. Pet peeve.
Gosh, I have
scared.
so many pet peeves.
People coming up behind you and surprising you and scaring you.
Yeah, never. That's another one thing. Like, don't ever throw me a surprise party.
Okay.
That's the worst possible thing you could do for me. Be like, I'd be so angry if you did
I'll
that.
tell Jennifer because she just.
Yeah, no, she knows.
She wanted me to do that
she knows.
today. But.
No surprise party. Pet peeves. I think people who are just generally rude to service workers.
Yeah.
That really bothers me. And so I probably go over index and trying to be as nice to, servers or people at the front desk or what valets, like whoever, just like be nice to people. Because when you're kind of a jerk, like aren't kind to people, that does bother me.
Yep. I like that. Okay. Something you've changed your mind about.
Oh my gosh. All the time. By the way, can we give ourselves permission to change our minds? Yes.
I don't think we should. I think we should just have one way, one mode. There's one way. Continue. No, I full agree. Why do you say that?
I think we have to give ourselves the space to mature.
Yeah.
I think so many of the ideas and concepts that I believed were right and needed to be this way were things from a lack of either maturity or perspective, or were just there because of my own wounds and brokenness.
Yeah.
And so as we grow and heal and mature as people, I think our thoughts about things are going to change and mature and grow.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I disagree, but that's fine. Hidden talent.
Oh, wow. My hidden talent, interior decorating.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your house looks great.
Thank you. I love designing things. I love creating spaces. For 10 years, I was a creative principal at a design firm. So I
Plain Joe Studios.
Plain Joe Studios. That's right. I loved doing that, and I still love doing it.
Okay.
But I just don't do it as a full-time profession anymore.
Yeah. I mean, do you love it so much that you want to come over to my house at some point in Nashville and help us do it?
Yeah, no, I always walk into people's homes and go, oh man, I want to put that table there. Or like, hey, another pet peeve.
Yeah.
Hanging wall art too high. See, most people are going to hang it much too high on the wall.
Yeah.
What you want to do is center the picture to eye level. And it's going to probably feel lower.
You're 6'4".
Yeah, well, that's you probably not my eye level, but like your eye level, generally, like let's say 6 foot person. Most people are hanging it above eye level, and so you got to get the picture down a little bit. So again, a pet peeve, but just a little interior design tip.
Yeah,
on 10,000 minutes.
Gosh, that's our next episode. Just tips.
I got a lot of opinions. That's the other thing that's a problem for me.
Okay.
I got a lot of opinions about a lot of things.
And do you share them?
Never.
Yeah, that was gonna.
Well, that's just discernment and wisdom. Everybody's got an opinion.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean it's fact or that it's right.
Yeah.
And so, but one of the things with my primal question is, I notice everything.
Huh.
I guess I would just call it on high alert.
Yeah.
So when I walk into a room, I'm noticing all things, and that's a blessing and a curse.
Is that part of Q1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's a lot more to Q4 than I need to go dive into.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh, yeah. And the book will hopefully unpack a lot of that. Okay. But it's a revelation when you start seeing all the ways that your highest emotional need impacts your life and experience. Again, the water, like it's so close to you. It's so vast. It's so fundamental that you haven't really even thought about it.
Yep.
But it's there.
Well, awesome. I was going to have Bob Goff come and hang out with us today, but I'm glad he didn't. Because number one, nobody likes him. Number two, you got to rattle my cage a little bit. So thank you.
Good.
So good.
I love talking with you, Tim. And I love you so much and just so proud of you. And I feel like the fact that we get to be friends is a real, I want to use the word blessing.
Let's say it. Let's say it.
It's a real blessing in my life.
I love it. You're a blessing. Okay, so the whole point of 10,000 minutes is actually not just to give us good information, because we can get that anywhere, but it's to give us the ways and the heart of Jesus, and to try to realign our hearts daily to the ways and the heart of Jesus for us and for the community around us. And so these are become practices. So we all have a primal question, and maybe you disagree, and that's fine if you do, but it seems like we all have a primal question at some point that's being answered in our relationships, and God is included in that. Our practice this week is live into your primal identity. So me, as I write this X on my wrist, one is just saying, God, thank you that you woke me up again today. I just want to join you today. But as I'm joining him practically this week, my reminder on my X this week will be to live into my primal identity. Am I wanted? I am wanted. Am I enough? I am enough. So every day, take time to remember or write down the truth of who you are. And this isn't just who you are on your own, but really because of God and how he is at work in us and restoring us, this is how he sees us. So as we get triggered this week and we jump into our scramble, we would be reminded who we actually are, whether we feel like it or not. So let's practice this. Let's live into our primal identities this week. Well, let us know if you take the assessment and what primal question resonates with you in our Facebook group. Please go check that out. The link is in our show notes. So let's practice as a community. That's the whole point. So please, let's practice this with other people. And if you don't do the Facebook group, awesome. Just tell somebody else, hey, would you just take this and can we just talk through this a little bit? This is meant to be done with other people. You guys, thanks for listening. Subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already. Please tell other people about it. And again, do these things with other people and with Jesus, not for him. Sign up for our free weekly text message, encouraging text messages. So you will put in the number 59925, 59925, and then just put 10K, 10K in the subject. Okay, you guys are awesome. Grateful for you. Get ready for the next episode.